So welcome everyone. So excited to have you here. My name is Sofia Karlsson, which you probably already know. So we will spend the next 30-40 minutes together, and I'm here to talk about leadership and specifically about connecting with people and to be able to communicate more effectively. And this is a subject that I have come to realize more and more that has made a huge difference in my career. But this is a huge subject. So today I will give pieces of the content from this book. It's John Maxwell's book, Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. I'm a certified trainer on this content, and I practice this daily. The more I use this book, the more I value it. And I have to admit that the first time I read it, I didn't find it amazing, but it's a book that is supposed to be studied and applied. It's not just supposed to be read. So it gets better and better the more you use it. So today I'm here to raise your awareness of leadership as a teachable skill and to give you some practical information that you can apply right away after this seminar. And I really want to convince you, if you're not already, that we are all leaders in one way or another. And leadership comes down to one thing, and that's influence. Leadership is influence. And influence depends on our ability to connect with people. It has nothing to do with our titles. I'm sure that you know managers who have zero influence and non-managers who seem to have influence on everyone around them. So let's get started here. I'm going to share my screen with you. There you go. I think you can see now. So like I said earlier, if you want to have the best experience, I think speaker view is the experience, is the choice that you want to make. Then you get the best view. Okay. So if we want to succeed, we must learn to connect with people and understand the consequences of not doing it. Your ability to connect with people is the number one thing that can bring you greater success in your personal and professional life. It isn't knowledge or experience or talent, even though it helps, but it is, first of all, your ability to connect with people. And everyone can learn this, everyone. I mean, think about that next time you enter an elevator, or when you meet other parents or teachers in the morning when you drop off your kids, or when you go into a restaurant or a shop, or when you enter the office in the morning. How intentional are you about connecting with other people when you meet them? And what I've come to realize is that it has taken me far longer than it should have, is that the better I become at connecting with people, the better results I get, the results that I want for myself. Because when I connect, I can influence, which means that I can lead my life in the direction I want it to go. And the same goes for you. If you are a parent, a spouse, or a daughter, if you are a friend, if you are a neighbor, a son, if you're an employee manager, if you are the CEO or the president of the company, it doesn't matter who you are. You can always improve your ability to connect with people. And you also want to improve your love relationships, right? Connecting better will make a huge difference. First date or 30 years of marriage, connecting with that other person makes a bit of a difference, make things a bit smoother, right? If you want a promotion, you need to connect better with your boss, with your team, with your clients, with your peers. Want to improve your relationships with your friends? Well, it's all about connecting. And everything that I'm going to talk to you about today is 100% a teachable skill, which means that you can learn to connect, you can learn to lead, you can learn to improve your ability to influence people if you want to, if you make an effort. And if you're already pretty good at it, which I think that most of you here today are, you can still improve, and there are reasons to improve. And it's like, when we go to the gym, and it's like self-confidence and self-esteem, it's something that we need to keep up. It's not something that you can hide in the drawer and take out. You need to practice it, and you become better and better the more you do it. And it's not like only a few people are born with it. It might be out of our comfort zone, so we have to practice, but it is within our reach. And the more we practice, the more comfortable we become. And the reason that learning to connect is so important, why it makes such a difference to all your results, is that most people neglect it. So if you want to improve in this area, you have a good chance of being among the few who know how to really influence. Most people don't give it any thought whatsoever to develop on their ability to connect with people, either because they don't see it as a teachable skill. So they don't think that there is any point of, they think other people are more born with this ability, but nobody is born to be an Obama, it's practice. Or some people think that there is no reason to work on it. They don't see it as important. But look at you. You are here, so you are already ahead because you realize that this topic is indeed important. But for those who don't care, don't give it any thought, it means it is outside of their awareness. They're not conscious of the impact it has on them. And this probably wouldn't be such a big problem if people were not emotional creatures. But we are emotional, which means that we are first of all steered by our subconscious mind, the emotional mind. Human beings are emotional creatures at heart. You know that, right? Like, we do have an intellect, our conscious thinking mind that can reason. We can accept and reject ideas. We want to think that we can always choose to be rational, logical human beings, but that is a facade. Emotions rules our life, and we are emotional creatures. And this is the problem for people who are not aware of it. It's a problem if you keep ignoring the power of the subconscious mind. It will cause you problems if you keep this knowledge outside of your awareness. We can be logical and conscious most of the time, but there will always be people, there will always be situations that trigger us. And suddenly it switches us and we can no longer help ourselves. And the emotions take over the rational mind before we even know it. And I'm not necessarily talking about the big emotions, the visible emotions. No, it's also the subtle emotions that just gives us a gut feeling that something is wrong, or this anxiety that we feel before we even know what has caused it, or this worry that is so difficult to shake off, or the feeling of embarrassment when we are reminded about something from the past. Or maybe there are people who makes us a little bit shy and blush. So we are not supposed to be immune against this, but we should be very, very much aware of that we take in things, and it's our subconscious mind that take over sometimes. So, I mean, really listen to this, pay extra attention for a few minutes. We should understand that you and I are constantly receiving signals with our 5 or maybe 6 senses, and that has an impact on our subconscious emotional mind. So when I smell sunscreen, I immediately get a feeling of vacation. Do you have something like that? Like some special music that takes you back to a memory or a feeling that you've had? Or I recently heard about a person who is spraying Ajax cleaning product around the front door of his house, so that when his wife steps in, she's immediately in a good mood because she thinks that he's been cleaning. So also with our communication, we send out signals to people. So we want to be sure to send out the right signals when we communicate, so that the listener feels connected to us. And of course, we don't want everything, we don't know everything about this other person, but most things are global, most things are universal principles. So when we learn how to practice them, we immediately increase our chances of connecting with people. You want to learn how to connect with people so that you can influence them and your relationship with them in a positive way. Let me see here. And at work, you don't want anyone to feel nervous and anxious and irritated around you, right? You want them to feel comfortable, inspired, positive when we are around. Huh? So this book, Everyone Communicates Few Connect, talks about connecting principles and connecting practices. And when we learn and apply these lessons, you can completely redefine and reinvent your personal and professional relationships. Now, obviously, there's more to connecting than we can cover here today, but a few principles and practices we have time to talk about today. And that is something that you can apply right away after this session. So let me talk about a couple of the practices today. And if this is something that is interesting to you, if you have decided that you are going to improve your people skills, your ability to connect and lead, then you have some tools that you can use right away. And if you want to learn more, you can sign up for our workshop that starts end of September. And I will give you more information about that in the end of this session. So now, I spoke shortly about our emotional mind, but you don't need to understand how the brain works in detail, but you need to understand or be aware of how the communication principles work. And one principle is that connecting increases our influence in every situation. So let's imagine that you have a frustrated client on the phone, or you need to present something to your managers, or if you go for an interview. Do you agree that it helps to have a good connection with the people that you are meeting? According to Harvard Business Review, the #1 criteria for advancement and promotion for professionals is the ability to communicate effectively. #1. And if we want to advance and be promoted, we must be able to communicate effectively. And that means that you have to, first of all, connect. Several years ago, I experienced a very interesting leadership transition. I worked for 2 very technically skilled top managers. We can call them Bill and Bob. Consider their differences in connecting skills and who they were connected with when you hear this about Bill and Bob. So Bill was there first and Bob replaced him. And the thing is, both Bill and Bob wanted the highest position that Bill already had. So there was, both of them could apply to the highest position, but Bill already had it. And Bob was better connected to the global managers, so they had a lot of trust in him and his capabilities. But Bill, on the other hand, was very well connected with the local people that worked in the company. You see, Bill used to joke with everyone he paid attention to and showed appreciation when somebody did a good job. And he was a very responsible yet approachable person. And Bob, on the other hand, was known as a person who was a bit rough, dry humor, a very intellectual way of talking so that everyone wouldn't understand. And he could also get very angry, or at least there were rumors about that. So people were a little bit afraid of him. Do you think that Bob had some work to do when it came to connecting with the people after he replaced the popular Bill? And of course, Bill decided to leave when Bob got his job. So people were also grieving the loss of Bill when Bob came in as the new manager. And this transition triggered a huge staff turnover. And some people even went with Bill to the company where he was going to work. And this is not the first time you hear about a leaving manager who is the catalyst for other people leaving, right? You see, people don't leave companies, people leave people. Now, Bob really did his best. And after some time, things stabilized and people got used to him too. He was pretty cool. He was just different. He had to work on the connecting part before people really understood him. And one excellent thing that he did was when he invited everyone to his house for a beer and barbecue. And voila, he was suddenly seen as a very caring, generous, approachable guy that people could relate to. You see? So connecting is the ability to identify with people and relate to them in such a way that it increases our influence with them. We could now, as the team who used to be around Bill, we could now relate also to Bob, and in a much more personal way as a result of his effort to show a more personal and relaxed side of himself. Ever heard this? No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And this is so true. And Bob experienced that. So some people connect intuitively, which is the case for Bill. They have high interpersonal skills. They seem to value people automatically. Others, like Bob, recognize connecting as important, but they don't have the tools and techniques right in front of them. They need to learn to do what others do intuitively, which is completely fine and very, very honorable. It just shows that you're really willing to make an effort, right? But still, there are some people, you probably have some good examples, who don't recognize connecting as important at all. And they think that they can do it all on their own. They don't see why they need other people. Why rely on others when it's quicker to do it yourself, right? Or they only let me down anyway, which is a bit of an arrogant and short-term thinking way. And it's not at all sustainable, because it limits our growth opportunities when we only can rely on our own capacity. So the better we connect with other people, the more influence we have and the better our results will be. Someone once asked me, well, what about scientists or maybe an auditor or a risk manager? It's not so relevant for them, right? They work with numbers anyway. Well, which person seems to be more difficult to find on the job market today? Someone with a master's in science or the diploma in audit or certification in risk management or whatever we need, or the one who can lead a team of such experts to produce meaningful results at the same time as they keep employee engagement high? Which one is the most difficult to find? So getting the skills and the diplomas, that's the easy part, often highly regarded. But having the ability to lead yourself and your team is something that is even more important. You can have 5 brilliant people on your team, but if your leadership is poor, you won't have any great results, because people are emotional creatures and you have to be able to connect if you want to influence and lead others. So to continue and try to outline the problem if you don't connect with people, picture this. Here we have a typical leader in an organization. She obviously wants to deliver and improve the results. She will focus on and talk about that. But if she is not a connector, if she doesn't value others, then it's very likely that she will think that the only way to improve the results is to work harder herself and also to tell everyone else to do that. And that is often how most people get managerial positions today in many organizations, right? Especially in industries where we are more technically skilled and need to have a knowledge that is a bit more technical. Promotion is often based on the technical assessment, right? So the best technician is often promoted to lead the team. But the trouble is that leadership and technical skills are two totally different skills. Technical skills are technical, and leadership is influence, connecting with people, which comes from valuing people. And technical skills and valuing people are polar opposites. It's even from two different sides of the brain. And the technician that didn't yet learn how to value people will simply think that if you want people to do what they should do, then just tell them to do it and show them the manual. So this is what can happen. So here's an illustration and a small disclaimer. I think you will see the picture here very soon. Yeah, there you go. A small disclaimer with this picture. It's just a helpful illustration. It's not scientifically proven. It's just helping me to explain this. What it should show you is that the manager who can't connect works even harder and puts in 20-30% more time and effort. And when that happens, the total productivity of the team goes up very little. And the disconnected manager is not able to motivate and engage the rest of the team. And that extra hard work makes a huge difference to that manager, big difference to her family, to her health, her well-being, but it makes very little difference to anything else. But what connectors realize is that if they could just get another 10% out of everybody in the team, then it adds up to far more than they can contribute with alone. And as a result, they don't get divorced and they don't get sick. And they achieve this by connecting with people. I've seen this, and I'm sure you have as well. Managers who are working like crazy, but they are so disconnected from their people. So the reason why I say that communication is such a skill is because it's much more complicated than just saying, okay, I'm going to take more out of others. It's not something that you can just decide or even schedule for. You have to connect. And maybe it is in short term possible to push and intimidate and chase people to work harder and faster. But the effect is very short term, and you end up working so much harder yourself. And leadership is the ability to create results through and with others. It's all about others. So it's about valuing other people. So as I said many times now, anyone can learn how to make every communication an opportunity for a powerful connection. It's really just like any other skill. You need to learn the skill and practice it. So the good news is that if you think that you are more of a technician and maybe more of a task-oriented person today, someone who isn't intuitively a person who, a people person, no problem, you can learn. And it will be part of it will be authentic for you as well when you learn. And the best news is that when if you are more of a task-oriented person or a technician, when you up-level your ability to connect with others, it will be so much more significant and pay off immediately. Remember Bob? He went from a 1 to a 7 at least, just by inviting people to his place. It was so appreciated and disarming. And this brings me to the next principle. Connecting is more a skill than a natural talent. To connect with others, there's a way how you can leverage on the skills and experiences that you already have. So there are several factors that great connectors use when they want people to listen to them. So I want to introduce you to them so that you can think about what you can use to up-level your ability to connect. Maybe you already do some of it today, but you can practice to become more intentional about it. The first is relationships. who you know. A quick way to gain credibility with an individual, a group, or an audience is to borrow it from someone who already has credibility with them. Who you know can open up doors for you to connect with someone. Just like when you meet someone for the first time, and while you talk to that person, you realize that you both know a specific person very well, another person. And if that is somebody that you like a lot, you will immediately feel connected to this new person, right? Oh, I went to school with him. So cool. You have to tell him I said hi. You see, suddenly you have one person in common, which makes you connected. It's the same thing that when politicians being endorsed by famous people, popular people, or if you are going on stage somewhere or coming to a new job and there are people who already know you that kind of introduce you to people, then the connection is much, much quicker. And next is insights. So what you know. And if you share your expertise generously with others, you give people reasons to respect you and to develop a sense of connection with you. And here's where the more technical and task-oriented people have a big plus. Use your technical knowledge to connect with people by being approachable, sharing, and helping. It's so appreciated. I think we all know someone who isn't necessarily the most social, open person, but still it's someone that we like to go to when we need help and support because the person is so knowledgeable and knows something very well that we need help with. So if that person is approachable and open for that, that it really makes us connect. And then we have success, what you have done already. So people want to be successful, right? And they seek out others who have accomplished something to get their advice. If you are successful in anything that you do, there will be people who will want to listen to you and connect with you. Mentoring, for example, the relationship between the mentee and the mentor is built upon that the mentee wants to be connected with the mentor because of what they have done, and they want to be influenced by the mentor. We even pay a lot of money to have mentors. And then we have ability, what you can do. If you have a high level of ability in an area, others may want to connect with you because of that ability. Excellence connects. And individuals who perform at high level in their profession often have instant credibility with others in other areas as well. So not necessarily exactly in the area where they have a high ability. People admire them. They want to be like them and they feel connected to them. And when they speak, others automatically listens. This is why George Clooney can convince us to buy Nespresso, or why Nike is willing to pay huge amount of money to, for example, Serena Williams, or why Cristiano Ronaldo could create such a noise on the stock market just by removing Coca-Cola bottles in the press conference. If you haven't seen that, then Google it. That is because they have a high ability in their area and we listen to them. If Cristiano Ronaldo tells us to stop drinking Coca-Cola, I mean, I'm showing that clip to my kids. It works. So again, this is good news for the technician. If you are a technician, a task-oriented person, you probably have high abilities in an area or an expertise. So you don't have to be an entertainer or super social person to connect with other people and to your colleagues. You have something else, but you must at least be approachable. If you show yourself humble in spite of your excellence, well, then you are also soon a great connector. And then lastly, sacrifice, how you have lived. If you have made sacrifices, if you have suffered tragedy, if you have overcome painful obstacles in your life, then many people will relate to you. And if you have been able to also remain positive in spite of all these difficulties, then people will admire you and will want to connect with you. Like, think about Nelson Mandela or many other speakers who we feel connected to and inspired of because they have endured something. And this is why it's so important to show authenticity and vulnerability also as a leader. You don't need to get private or have any extraordinary stories to share, but stop trying to look like nothing can touch you when you are in fact stressed and having doubts. People connect with humans, not robots. Okay? So these are the 5 factors that you can use to connect with others. And the more factors you have and the better you become at using them, the greater your chance of connecting with people. You must build on your strengths that you already have, develop your own style, be authentic, and use whatever factor you have to connect with people. But you don't have to have a tragic story to connect with me. Maybe you just happen to know my neighbor and we hit it off from there. So it doesn't have to be so huge or complicated. Use what we have. The point is that you take what you have and use it to connect with others. So let me just recap some key messages so far. No matter your position or title, leadership is critical because anything you achieve in life, in every area of your life, will be with and through other people. Everything rises and falls with leadership. And what is leadership? Leadership is influence. And how can I develop my ability to influence? Well, you connect with people. And how do I develop my skill of connecting? Then we learn that if we value people. And there you have the shift in perception. Take yourself out of the center and place others there instead. Let's now take a look at the practice that can help you to connect, something that you can use right away. I used to think that, and I think that many people do, that it's all about being the best. If you want to lead, you have to be the best. If you want people to listen to you, you got to impress them. If you want to be promoted, you have to be impressive. But influence is not about impressing people. If you impress people, in fact, you're actually creating a distance between you. And I mean, take, for example, have you ever felt starstruck? Either by a real star or somebody that you are looking up to. Okay, you feel impressed and it's amazing and all that, but it's not really a connection, is it? I mean, if I feel starstruck, if I would meet somebody famous that I admire, I would have no clue what to say and I wouldn't feel connected at all. So remember we said earlier that people are emotional beings. They're not logical. They're first of all emotional. And to understand how to connect with people emotionally, we need to understand that we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. And we are all different. So let me try to illustrate that in a way. Take a look at this. You got 5 seconds to decide what you see. Do you see a saxophonist or do you see a woman's face? It all depends on where your awareness is. And now that I already told you about the two images, you are aware of them and you can see them both. But it is the same picture, right? The same picture viewed differently by different people. So if the picture is the same, then the difference must be within us, right? We all have a history. There are different things that have impacted us, which changes the way we see things. And that difference is called conditioning. So we don't see the world as it is, we see it as we are. And the implications of that with regards to communication, they are enormous. So we all see the world differently. So we interpret differently. Every situation we interpret differently. I mean, I'm sure we all have experienced that somebody tells you about something that you have also been part of, a meeting or something, and their experience of that meeting is completely different from your experience. Maybe it has been somebody's judging or didn't like something that you were all part of, and you thought, oh, but I thought it was pretty good. It's within us. It's the same meeting, but we are conditioned differently. So we are interpreting the situation and we are interpreting people differently. Now, this is a simple example, but it illustrates my point in that we are all different. We all see the world differently. We all have different beliefs, different values, different things are important to us. We have different passions, expectations, tolerances, different agendas. And to ignore this when trying to connect is to miss the whole point of connecting. Connectors understand this. They know they have to connect with people on common ground. See, if I talk to you about something I believe in and you don't, you're probably not going to show much interest, and there won't be any emotional resonance between us. Or even worse, if I violate your beliefs or criticize your beliefs, you're actually going to get a bad feeling about me. And no one wants to hear that what they believe is wrong. If you challenge someone's beliefs or ideas directly at work, for example, they're going to reject you. This is the ego. It is the ego in its raw state. It wants to eliminate everyone that doesn't agree with it. It's just like that. It's not something that we steer. And this is why it can be so challenging to talk, for example, about religion and politics, right? So if you want to connect with someone, you have to go to them. You have to go first, and you need to connect on common ground. You have to meet people where your beliefs and theirs intersect. That's the common ground. We can connect with them there, and then we can take them where we want them to go. So if we want to influence them, first we connect on common ground, and then we can influence them. If you don't connect first, they won't go with you. They might say that they go with you. That's actually level 1 in leadership. You know, we follow somebody because they have a title. We follow them because we have to, but not because we are convinced, not because we believe in it, but we do it because, well, it's part of the contract, basically. But it's not because we want to. So we will not really follow. We are just doing it lightly. And this is also, so connecting on common ground, this is why enemies can become friends. So this picture here, maybe you have already, maybe you know this, this guy. So the African-American man that you see there, his name is Daryl Davis. And he managed to become friends with KKK members and convince them to leave the Klan. And he says, talking to Klansmen has worked for me, and I've proven it. I appeal to people's common sense. I don't seek to convert them, but if they spend time with me, they can't hate me. The Klansman sees that I want the same thing for my family as he does for his. If you can work on the things in common, that's how you build friendship. Now, this might seem as an extreme example here for us, but if he can do it, you can do it with your colleague. It can be as simple as asking, how was the weekend, before we jump into the question we have. I have a previous colleague who found this extremely important. She is somebody who really needs that question first before she gets a work-related question. She is someone who really wants, hello, how are you? How are you doing? Nothing long, but just she wants to feel that you care for her before you ask her about the report or whatever it might be. So connect first. Now, this takes energy. It takes energy to connect. There's an investment necessary before the payoff, but that's true for anything in life, right? And imagine not connecting. If we think we can all agree that there are huge amounts of energy as well that we spend when there's this friction at work, when we don't manage to connect. That's huge energy that we spend after we realized we didn't connect. So why not do the investment first and then have a smooth connection? Now, we're just about to finish. So we're going to have to leave it there, but hopefully we've covered some ideas that you can start using right away. And please stay around if you have questions. I'm here. We spoke about principle 1. Connecting increases your influence in every situation. And leadership is influence, so great leaders have to connect. Leadership is all about others. Take you out of the center here. 3, principle number 2 there. Connecting is more a skill than a natural talent, so you can learn to leverage on the skills and experiences you already have and become even better at it. 4, we also spoke about the practice. You have to connect with people on common ground. And I wish we had time to talk more about this, but I want to honor your time here. I know that you are busy, but imagine going through these lessons in a group setting where you share experience with others and grow together with others. What would happen to you if you took a deeper dive into becoming a better communicator? What would that do for your personal growth and the growth for you as a leader? So if you are ready for growth, then you can sign up for our group that starts on the 21st of September. I already have some awesome people who have registered, so I know it will be great. Now, I would be so happy to see you there as well. If you have attended this webinar and decide to sign up, I will give you the book for free. So use the link to sign up that I will send out. So thank you so much for your attention. Have a fantastic rest of the day. Don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions or feedback. And now I will stick around. I hope to hear from you. So if you want to unmute, then go ahead if you have any questions or comments.